Hi, I'm Scott, and welcome to Everything Board Games. Today we'll be reviewing the 2 to 5 player game Virulence by Genius Games. Let's go down to the table and take a look. Alright, today we're going to be looking at the 2 to 5 player game Virulence. It's a Kickstarter I backed and recently received from Genius Games. Player ages are 8 and up. It takes 15 to 20 minutes. 2 to 5 players can play. It's actually a pretty easy game to learn. And let's take a look and see what's in the box. In here you have your instructions, the rule book, the Virulence rule book. You have your dice, which come into play on certain rolls that you have to make. And then you have the cards. These cards are, the artwork on these cards are pretty amazing. Very happy with how the artwork came out. I like the way they look. I like the way they feel. The card stock's a good card stock. Being that it's a light game, I don't know if I'll end up sleeving these cards or not. As far as I don't know if it'll, this will be kind of like a filler in between the heavier games that we all play on game night on Saturday. Lots of different cards. Beautiful artwork. Just gorgeous. Couldn't ask for anything more. There's one of those cards I was telling you about you'll need the dice for. There's several of them. And several virus cards, genome cards. Also, this Kickstarter came with a couple of exclusive cards that are meant to, I guess the email I got, the publisher said that these were meant to be like a catch-up mechanism if somebody's extremely behind in the game. But that's the highest Virulence that you can have is 10, so it's above all the other cards. So I think it's meant to help players catch up so nobody gets distracted or discouraged when. Okay, let's get a look at the components now. Here's some of the cards that allow you to modify your Virulence cards that you put forth. These are bonus cards. You get a bonus for being the first one to complete some of these. I'll explain these in a minute. They get a bonus for being the first one to complete those. 3 of the 4 of these remain in play. The 4th one gets removed from the game. These are vaccines. These are the cards you don't want to get stuck with. These are going to be minus to your victory points. So this is something you don't want to end up getting stuck with. These cards are just like fast points. Those are what you get. Spherical envelope. It kind of has like a sushi go type of thing where the person with the most gets 12 points, person with the second most gets 6 points, person with the least receives minus 6 points. So you don't want to be the the one with the least amount of those cards. These are like wild cards, and they go with these. Forgive me if I don't pronounce these correctly, but icosahedral and helical cards. They can fit either criteria. In this one, you get 1 point for 1, 3 points for 2, 6, 10, 15, and 21. And if you're one of the first ones to complete a set, then you could get one of these bonus cards. And then finally on to the Virulence cards. This is how strong your virus is. This is you're going to be playing cards against other players, and the person with the highest Virulence gets to select the card that's available that they want. So I will be explaining gameplay here in a second. Okay, so basically to begin the game, you have your component card pile here. You have your bonuses up here that you can earn if you get the first set of helical bonus. You'll get +4 to your score. You'll get that card. The second person to reach that will get, or +7, and the second person to reach that will get +4. The icosahedral bonus is +6. There are 4 bonus cards, but one has to be returned to the deck in a game. In a 2-player game, each player receives 1 through 6 on the Virulence cards, and a reassortment card, I'm sorry. In a 2-player game, you also get an extra 3 and an extra 4. So basically what will happen is we'll take these cards, put them into our hand. Everybody has a deck of cards. And then what we'll do in a 2-player game is normally you would draw 1 card per player. But try this again. Okay, and basically the cards I've drawn is an icosahedral, a helical, and mutated virus card. I'm sorry. Yeah, there's a mutated virus card. Basically, players would then take turns after the virulence is received. So let's just say this guy decides to play this. He doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to go too high, and then this person pick up their cards and let's say they played this. Alright, so basically when everybody's selected their cards and they're ready to go, both players will simultaneously turn up their cards, and the one with the higher virulence will win first choice. And so this card would go into his discard pile, and this person would get first choice, and they would obviously take a mutated virus card because that enables them to put out a higher virulence rating. They would put that in their hand, and then they would have to select one of their other cards to remove from the game, and that would probably be their lowest one. So we'll go ahead and do that. And so this person thinks, yeah, well, I'll try the helical bonus. So he'll take this, he'll put it over into his player area. Then the first person will again select, and then the second person selects, and then it begins again with another draw. Now you can see what's come out now is a couple of the vaccine cards, and those are definitely cards you don't want, because if they're in your hand at the end of the game, then they are minus points. There's a -2 and a -3, and we do not want minus points. So then basically the two again would choose. Let's see, this person chose this one, and this person chose this one. And so they'd say, you know, we're ready and go. And oh my goodness, they've chosen identical cards. Now you might be wondering, how do you break ties in this game? Well, I'm going to tell you. Players will take turns. Take turns. They can both roll at the same time. It really doesn't matter, but rolling 2 dice to break the tie. So this person will roll, and it's not a very good roll. He got 3. And this person would roll, and they got 10 altogether. So this person would get first pick, and he would definitely not want to take one of the vaccine cards. So this is the card that if you have the most, you get 12 points, the second most 6 points, and the least -6. But since this is a 2-player game, somebody's going to get 12 points and somebody's going to get -6. So there is no second most in a 2-player game. So I would take this to make sure. This person, of course, would take this card, and then it would get back to the other person, and he would have to take the -2, and then they would have to take the -3 card, and then play would continue. More vaccine cards. That's not good. All right. Now we would continue to play cards until we got to the point where all our good cards were gone. You've used all your good cards, and that you're not going to win the next couple because your opponent, if you can keep track of what they've played, you'll know what they have in their hand because everybody starts with the same thing. So basically, you would play what we have here. Let's just say he played a 2 at the top, and the other guy played a 1, and he got first pick. So he would take the 7 and discard one of his lower cards. Let's say his 1. He would discard his 1. And then the next set, after this person had taken their card, the next set would be to play the reassortment card. And the reassortment card, what that allows you to do is that allows you to pick up all your cards. It's like a do-over. And at that point, this person would get to pick that card, and this card would be discarded. There are other cards in the deck that you might come across. The Genome cards, they give you an automatic victory points for what you're doing. Increased Virulence. What this will do is, if you have this card, then whatever you roll, you'll get to add 2 to that. Then these like super virulence cards that apparently it's some sort of zombie disease, is something that you might be able to add to your hand. There's 7, 8s, 9s, and 10s in there. You have your wild cards. You can use those for either helical or icosahedral viruses to complete your sets of those. And another increased virulence card. It's like a mad doctor type of thing going on there, I guess. Goodness, I didn't see any more of the... Let's take a look over here. Oh, here's some more. You got +3 to your dice roll, +2. And these stack, so you can have a +4 and a +3, and then whatever you roll, you'll add 7 to that. But you go through until both players have gone through all their cards in the deck. And basically, how you win the game is when there are no longer enough viral component cards to be flipped face up for the viral component deck equal to the amount of players, which would be 4 in a 2-player game because of the different rules. Then you calculate your points and add up what you have and decide on the winner. You would see how many sets you'd have. Let's say I had a set and a half or a set and 3 of this. I didn't have quite enough to make the set, but basically I would add the 16 points for the full set and then 9 more points for the 3. And basically you just score it up, and you get a point for every one of your increased virulence cards that add dice rolls. You get points for the sets, you get the points that are on the genome cards, and if you have a tie, if players end up having a tie at the end, they should add up the virulence numbers from all 6 virus and or mutated virus cards in their hand, and the player with the highest total virulence number wins the tie. And if it's still a tie, the last person to be sick wins. I don't think I'd want to win if that was the point, because then you'd have to be sick recently. So that's the game. It was a Kickstarter. It was something I backed. What you guys are going to find out is I have backed quite a few Kickstarters, and so we have some great unboxings coming up, including Massive Darkness, Dark Souls, Outlive, several Kickstarter games that are getting ready to hit the market. I'm currently trying to get my hands on a Gloomhaven copy, which is one of the hardest things to do right now. And when I do that, I'll do an opening of it and maybe a couple of gameplay videos. We'll see what we do. And so now I'm going to give you my final thoughts. Virulence, an infectious card game. Great filler card game, easy to learn, quick to pick up. The younger kids will definitely get it. I mean, it says 8 and up. you could probably teach a 7 or a 6-year-old how to play if they're, it all depends on the child. This is a good game for children. Easy to understand. A lot of fun, a lot of back and forth play. Victory points, that's a definite winning condition in this game. So if you don't like victory points games or dice, you may not enjoy it. But for all the most part, I would probably give this a 7 out of 10. And thanks for being with Everything Board Games. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave it in the down below. I will answer everything I can. If there's any requests on painting that you'd like to see, I can let you guys know exactly what games I have that have yet to be painted. So I might be able to do a tutorial too. Just leave any comments you can in the thing below. And if you enjoy all the things that I explained down at the table for how this game works, and if you think it'd be a good fit for your family, it'll be in retail very soon.